Some great news for farmers. Their prayers and protests have finally been seen by the Trump administration, and now they're going to be saved. The ones in Argentina, that is. This week, Trump's Treasury Secretary announced a $20 billion economic support deal for Argentina. And right after that, Argentina suspended its export taxes on soybeans. The result? They sold 20 shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, in the US, farmers are harvesting in panic mode with no buyers in sight. China hasn't purchased US soybeans since May. As Caleb Ragland, president of the American Soybean Association, put it, the frustration is overwhelming. I still don't understand what you and all the other Republican farmers are so frustrated about, Caleb. This is what you literally voted for. US soybean prices are falling, and farmers read headlines not about a trade agreement with China, but that the US government is extending $20 billion in economic support to Argentina. Well, unlucky for you, you're going to have to wait till the next Democratic president gets in. Trump is helping farmers, just not the ones in America. So much for America first.
Good morning. Got a little farming news for y'all. You may or may not know China is the United States' biggest customer for our soybean crop. We need trade deals with them pretty bad because they buy the biggest majority of our soybeans. Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. Well, this week, Argentina lifted a tax, a commodities export tax. I don't know the exact name of what it was. They lifted a tax on exporting commodities, grains, stuff like that. Well, in 2 days' time, China made a really good business deal. They bought 84 million bushels of soybeans from Argentina. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time. Good business move by China. Don't blame them at all there. Well, in the meantime, Argentina stopped that, put tax back on because they hit their quota. Well, last night there was some kind of meeting. I don't know what all went down, but I know the biggest part of it that went down. The Argentina economy is pretty horrible. The peso is way below the dollar right now. They done a deal with the United States for some kind of line swap, pretty much a loan. The United States is about to send $20 billion to Argentina. Argentina is going to send $20 billion worth of their peso, which is not worth the same amount as our dollar is. So we're getting kind of the raw end of the deal on that one. And another thing about Argentina, they're not the best in the business about paying their bills back. They're kind of like your sister's boyfriend that don't got no job and don't really like to pay for nothing and rides off of everybody else. That's kind of the way Argentina is. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer? I don't understand the deal. I don't know what's going on. I ain't trying to make this political. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you voted for Trump, if you didn't vote for Trump, even if you did, there comes a time you need to start holding people accountable. I don't understand what's going on, but they need to get their head out of their rear end and start helping out the United States and their farming economy before they go to helping South America and other farming economies. I don't know. That don't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, that's just, it bees like that sometimes. You'll have that on them big jobs, but that's the big news. China ain't bought a single bushel from the United States this year. They just bought 84 million bushels from Argentina in 2 days. And the United States thought it was a good idea to go ahead and loan Argentina $20 billion just so their economy can do a little bit better. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong by being a little upset or pissed off, but I hope y'all have a great day.
The Trump administration announced on Thursday, September 25th, that they are working on a plan to give the Argentinian president $20 billion for a financial bailout. Donald Trump was quoted saying it is an honor for him to help make Argentina great again. Let's talk about a few things that $20 billion could do for United States citizens. It could cover healthcare for 3.3 million American families. It could erase medical debt for over 20 million Americans. It could fund mental health and addiction clinics all across the United States for over a decade. It could build over 100,000 affordable housing units. It could provide emergency shelter for over a year for every single homeless American. It could fund community college for over 2.5 million students. It could cancel all federal loan student debt. It could increase the salary of every single teacher in the United States of America by $5,000 a year. It could provide $1,000 extra in grocery benefits for every single low-income family in the United States of America. It could fund health care and housing for over 1 million veterans. Or it could provide free daycare for 1.5 million families. So much for America First.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Teresa.
And I'm Scholar, and here's what we have for you today.
On today's topic, American farmers are very furious and very angry. And honestly, we can't blame them.
And here's why. So Trump just announced a $20 billion bailout for Argentina's soybean industry.
And a lot of US farmers feel like they have been left behind.
And before we break it down, let's first watch how US farmers have reacted to this story, and then we'll come back with a full commentary at the end of the video, so stay tuned.
Hey Mainers, President Trump is giving a $20 billion bailout to Argentina. There's at least 3 reasons this is kind of a staggering piece of news, and the third is the toughest to swallow. First, because a $20 billion bailout of another country is the opposite of President Trump's America First philosophy. Second, because President Trump's Treasury Secretary has said openly that the bailout is because Argentina's president, who is an ally of President Trump's, needs a, quote, bridge to the election. His economy is falling apart and his party was just crushed in local elections, so the president's own re-election prospects are in trouble. So President Trump is openly giving Argentina $20 billion of our tax dollars to help his friend win re-election. And somehow that's not even the most startling part of this. The third reason this is staggering is because President Trump's trade war has resulted in China no longer purchasing American soybeans. Literally, China hasn't purchased a single soybean from the US in the last 2 months and has not placed a single order for US soybeans for the coming peak harvest season. Of the $24.5 billion worth of soybeans that the US farmers exported last year, China bought more than half of them, $12.5 billion worth. This is killing US farms, and farmers are feeling panicked and betrayed.
Mr. Trump, he looked at me, sir, and he said, I love you. Mr. Trump, I need to see the fruit of your love.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do.
But guess who is selling soybeans to China? Argentina. The 3 biggest soybean producers in the world are the US, Brazil, and Argentina. And last week, Argentina's president, President Trump's ally, slashed its export tax on soybeans to 0. He's taking advantage of China shutting out American soybeans and making it easier for Argentinian farmers to sell their soybeans to China while American farmers are getting screwed. It is indisputable. President Trump is propping up a guy who is helping crush American soybean farmers.
Okay, if you're an American, this headline is humiliating for 2 reasons. Number 1, we pay Argentina enough money to the point that they don't need an export tax. We essentially pay their export tax for them. And China this year decided that because of Trump's dumbass tariffs and trade war, they're not going to buy any soybeans from us. They used to buy billions of dollars in soybeans from the United States every single year. This year they bought 0. So what's happening now is, from this headline, America is paying Argentina for the privilege of essentially giving China their soybeans duty-free, and America, on top of not gaining any revenue from soybean sales, now has to pay subsidies to the soybean farmers here in America for all the soybeans that they just grew and didn't sell. Donald Trump is the worst businessman ever.
Republicans in farm country are utterly livid at the Trump administration for an, frankly, inscrutable, utterly outrageous bailout that it made to Argentina last week. But why are farmers angry? So here's why. Because of Trump's trade war with China, China has bought 0 soybeans from American farmers this year. China eats about 2/3 of all the soybeans around the world. Last year, China, I think, accounted for about 52% of soybean purchases. So in other words, without China buying soybeans from US farmers, our farmers are utterly screwed. Now, the only other real alternatives for China are, one, to grow them in China, and they're trying to do that long term, but really to purchase them from Brazil and also Argentina. Most of what they get, but when they're not getting it from us, comes from Brazil, but Argentina is also a huge producer of soybeans. So last week, the Trump administration announced a $20 billion bailout of Argentina because Trump said he's supporting his friend in the upcoming election, Javier Milei. Javier Milei, you might remember, this is Elon Musk's buddy who did like a Doge type move on Argentina, and he drove the Argentinian economy into the ground, now needs a massive bailout. So Trump is offering this $20 billion lifeline. The same day that Trump and Bessent announced this lifeline, Reuters reports that Argentina is now shipping massive amounts of soybeans to China and cut its export taxes to zero. In other words, the American money that we're sending to Argentina is making up the gap. So Argentina now doesn't have to charge these export fees on its soybeans, so China gets a huge discount. So China is out there scrambling, trying to find soybeans to feed its population without buying American soybeans because they're in a trade war that we started with them. And Trump just made it much cheaper and easier for China to buy those from Argentina. Now, there's another brutal aspect to this that isn't getting any coverage, and it's that American hedge funds invested heavily in Argentina after Milei was elected because they thought that his libertarian slash everything approach to the economy was actually going to turn things around and make Argentina a good investment. It didn't work at all. The economy collapsed. And so these American hedge funds were about to lose billions and billions of dollars on these stupid investments. But now Bessent, a former hedge fund guy, is the Treasury Secretary now, is coming in, and thanks to the bailout, the hedge funds are actually going to make a profit. And the final piece of this is that this is not the first time that Trump has done this to soybean farmers. The first time he was president, he started a trade war with China, and China responded by not buying soybeans from American farmers. And China instead told Brazil, we want to up our purchases from you. And then they actually started investing and helping Brazil build more highways, and they're putting more than $200 million into this port of Santos to help create capacity so that they can massively expand production of soybeans and exports to China. So they've basically almost doubled production from 2017 to today. Brazil has, and of course, all of these Brazilian soybeans that are being produced now are coming at the expense of the Amazonian rainforest, which was chopped down in order to make room for them. So awesome! Everybody's winning.
Hey everybody! Well, there it is, folks. Argentina is selling all of their soybeans to China now because of the tariffs that Trump has initiated against other countries. And it's not that Trump has initiated tariffs on soybeans to China or anything like that. It's just China's like, we don't need you. So there it is, $47 billion that would have gone to the 500,000 American soybean farmers are now going to Argentina. Now, American farmers, almost 80% of them voted for Trump. So if you have 500,000 soybean farmers, that means 400,000 of them who are now on the verge of going bankrupt voted for Trump. And I saw in another TikTok video, I'm not prepared to talk about it, but this guy was really good. I really should give him a shout out. I will in the notes or something. He came across my feed that there's this company called Acre Trader. And guess what they specialize in? They specialize in buying up distressed farms. Guess who's a major shareholder in that? J.D. Vance. So, while America is giving $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their government, American farmers are out of almost $50 billion. Not a single Chinese order has been cut on soybean farms this year. It's absolutely incredible. And Trump is destroying the American farmer. It's just crazy.
We're just absolutely fucked as farmers, guys. Everything is so fucked, and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in. Guys, look, one of the best splorn crops that I have ever raised in my life. And because of the tariffs, China will not fucking buy it. And they are the only country in the world other than, well, they are the only country in the world that buys splorn. And so now I'm literally just chopping it and blowing it on the fucking ground because it's fucking useless, it's valueless, there's nothing I can fucking do to it. I am going to need government assistance to make it through this fucking crisis until these tariffs end. Look, I've never raised a splorn crop like this, guys. And this is just fucking heartbreaking to me. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. You know, Trump said he fucking loved us farmers, and here I am just blowing my splorn crop all over the ground. Hopefully he works a deal out where Antarctica and Mars will start buying this splorn and save the farmers. I'm sorry, splorn crop, but you're fucked.
America's soybean farmers are in a world of hurt. They're gonna lose their farms and their livelihoods, and they did it to themselves. And now they are begging, pleading, oh, help us. We punished ourselves because we thought Donald Trump was only gonna hurt the right people, not us. We thought Donald Trump was gonna hurt women and black people and Latinos and immigrants and the homeless and LGBTQ. We never thought Donald Trump would hurt us, even though Donald Trump told us on the campaign trail that he was gonna raise tariffs, even though Project 2025 explicitly lays out the tariff plan and the plan to bankrupt soybean farmers all across America so that they can buy their land for cheap. Oh yeah, and Vice President J.D. Vance owns part of an app to help buy up the bankrupt land. Come on, get real. You were either willfully ignorant, dumb, or both, America's soybean farmers. What I don't hear is contrition. I don't hear the man who was on MSNBC this morning, Scott Brown from Arkansas, soybean farmer, who's gonna lose it all. I didn't hear him say, I made a mistake. I didn't hear him say, really, I knew, but I just thought it would turn out different because. He didn't say, I'm gonna do something different now. He didn't say, I'm gonna vote against Trump. He didn't say he was even gonna start voting in his own self-interest. He's just begging for a bailout because that's what we've been doing for 100 plus years in America is bailing out our farmers. They don't deserve it. They don't need it. They can live with their decision. They can also come to the right side. And they could admit that they made a mistake, and they could admit that racism is expensive, and they could admit that they're not going to be racist and bigots anymore, and that they're going to put not just their self-interest, but everybody's self-interest ahead of Donald Trump's and MAGA's and Heritage Foundation's. But can they do it? Will they do it? Because the rest of us are waiting for them. We are here, open and willing for them to take the right step and to show their humanity. No fear, only love.
So I am here because I want to check on the farmers, more specifically crop farmers, and even more specific than that, soybean farmers. How are you? How's life been treating you? How does it feel to FAFO? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, back in 2018, when Trump was first elected, he placed a heavy tariff onto China. For those of you all who don't know, China is the biggest consumer of soybeans here in America, spending anywhere between $12 to $14 billion annually on soybeans for our farmers. Well, in 2018, when he slapped that huge tariff onto China, they stopped buying soybeans from farmers, causing many farmers to have to get rid of their surplus because since it was not being outsourced to China, it basically was rotting away in silos. So because of this, China started buying its soybeans from Brazil and Argentina, no longer needing the American farmers. So they cut out buying soybeans from us about 17%. Farmers lost billions. Trump had to come back and give, I think, a $12 billion bailout just to keep farmers from going under, right? Now, you'd have thought they'd have learned their lesson back when he was running again, right? Wrong. Again, farmers heavily voted for Donald Trump, saying that, no one needed handouts and living off the government was socialism. How ironic. All right, now, if you're still following me, you know how this story is going to go. 2025 comes, farmers elect him into office. He puts tariffs on China again, and guess what? China is no longer buying soybeans from soy farmers again. So now, because China is getting majority of their soybeans from Brazil and Argentina now, there is no need for American farmers. So guess who is back trying to rally for a bailout because the idiot in chief has screwed them over again. To add insult to injury, Donald Trump negotiated a deal with China. In order for America to keep TikTok, America is going to pretty much own the algorithm. It's a whole bunch of Jews who own the app, part of the app now, whatever. But guess who he did not negotiate for? You guessed it, soybean farmers. I love when a FAFO comes together. Happy Saturday.
So the American farmers took another loss. We sent $20 billion to Argentina. Now, I'm going to say we because it's our taxpayer money. So what happened was Argentina got this $20 billion bailout, basically, from America. Then they dropped all their tariffs and taxes on grain exports. China pulled up and bought 20 boatloads of soybeans. Meanwhile, our American farmers who lost billions of dollars are losing billions of dollars currently because of their soybean crops. They have no one to sell it to because they lost the soybean deal. Now, I understand why the farmer's mad, but we're not the ones to be mad at. But I do understand farmers being mad. But we all should be mad because we all have to pay for this. Because first of all, again, that's our money. Trump don't have $20 billion, so he sent $20 billion of our taxpayer money. We also going to have to pay higher groceries. Yeah, we all going to have to pay for this. It's your dog D, pray like share, ain't no manual.
So here's how this all started. Trump's administration approved a $20 billion support package to help Argentina's soybean farmers after they faced economic trouble.
US farmers are asking a big question. Why are we really using so many billions to other countries while our own farmers are struggling here at home? So the reason why farmers are very angry is because, first of all, farmers across the Midwest have been really battling high cost, tariffs, and even climate issues, and also the low price. And many are still recovering from the past trades and droughts.
Maga farmers are wondering why is all this money flowing to Argentina instead of American farmers? I mean, it feels like a slap in the face. And when they ask themselves, we are the ones feeding this country. I mean, why are you bailing out other foreign countries? Trump argues that helping Argentina keeps global soybean market stable and prevents shortages that could hurt everyone. And he also says that it's about keeping trade flowing and controlling prices worldwide.
People are saying this may hurt American farmers, or because more competition on the world market, it means lower price for US soybeans.
We have farm leaders who are calling this betrayal, and other economists are also calling this a smart global strategy. But personally, I get from both ends what this means, but it's also hard to ignore the frustrations of American farmers who feel abandoned and see money being sent to other countries abroad like Argentina.
What do you think about all this? Do you think it's okay for Trump to spend all those billions to help Argentina farmers? Or should all that help go to support American farmers who are really struggling at home? Tell us in the comments.
So at the end of the day, farmers are the backbone of America, and when they're angry, the whole country collapses, and everyone should pay attention. And let us know how you feel about this situation of how it's affecting American farmers. Tell us if it has already affected you. Finally, credit goes to all the respective owners of the clips and content used in our video. Your thoughts and perspective made today's work possible.
And if you found this video fun and enjoyable and you would really like to see more of this, please leave us a Thumbs up.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.